Hey everybody, what is going on? Happy Sunday, happy Sunday. Just make sure let me know if you guys can hear me correctly. The computer that I was using basically is faulty, so it's not loading correctly no more and allowing me to actually do what I want to do. So now I am back on my iPad. So let me know if you can hear me sound wise before we kind of start this live tonight. What's going on? Uh-oh. What's going on, Jaron? What's going on? As usual, you guys, I like to check my YouTube. Just make sure we're live because we'll do this whole live and then we literally will be talking to ourselves. Okay, you said okay, so you can hear me. All right, cool. All right, so let's get this YouTube started on a Sunday. We're gonna be here for all right, and we're gonna be here for an hour, not too long, just an hour. So. Great. He said, I can hear you. Hey, what's going on, Dad? All right, so let's get this started. Hey, what's going on, David? How you doing this Sunday? Sorry I couldn't be on your live last Tuesday. Myself and Mike Patel, one of your colleagues as well, or I guess our colleagues. I was on his live, and that you guys go live at the same time, so I couldn't come over and be inside your live chat. So I apologize. All right, so before we kind of get started, we are going to first um, say welcome back to the channel. Thanks for being here. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We have lives every Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Also, if you are watching the live, please don't forget to hit the like button and also share it if it makes sense to share this information with anybody you know that wants to know more about what is happening currently in the real estate market. So I was like, let me get my little spiel out because I always forget to say that. But that's okay, MHOA. You're not late. You're not late. We just started. So yes, Jaron said live every Sunday. We're live every Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, unless something happens, then we're not here. So if you guys don't know, of course, if you saw the title, Zillow has been hit with RICO allegations in regards to a lawsuit. So we kind of broke this down before on a couple of the last lives about the different lawsuits in which Zillow had been encountering throughout the last couple months. They had a couple, I believe, an antitrust lawsuit. Don't get me wrong if I'm misquoting it. They had several lawsuits about Zillow Flex agents, the 40% program, different type of things that are happening. They had a lawsuit in which Compass, I believe, was going against them as far as the hiding the delistings and all those things. And so now they are being basically the lawsuit has been I guess, expanded from the Zillow Flex lawsuit, which was the 40% commission that goes to the agent off the top, well, that they take from the agent off the top if they close a lead through that program. And they have expanded it out to now only, but also including now the whole thing of the Zillow home loans as far as agents having to steer consumers towards Zillow home loans in order to create a deeper conversion rate so that they get more clients sent their way. So we'll dig into that a little bit. And if you guys let me know if any, concerns you might have, anything you might feel in regards to this lawsuit. Zillow, I've read through the lawsuit. I don't want to bore you guys to death, especially since I can't share my screen either due to me being on a different equipment because the computer is not working right. But so I'm going to be reading it, and if you guys have anything, feel any thoughts, let me know. David said we couldn't start without you. Yes, we cannot start with MH08 or anyone else. So thank you guys for coming here. So somebody picked up a few subscribers this week. Yeah, I picked up a few subscribers, and I appreciate everybody who has joined the channel. I'll say real quick, I went to this YouTube collaboration event where they were pre-screening the movie Wicked, and I met some cool YouTuber content creators there, and they also followed my channel. So hopefully they're watching tonight, and we'll be able to stay in contact. Hey, what's going on, Corey West? How you doing? Happy Sunday. All right, so let's jump into this lawsuit. So first, I'm going to break down. If you guys don't know what RICO is, we're just going to break down what RICO is, and then we'll kind of get into the lawsuit. So this is a quick definition of RICO. It says RICO is an acronym for Racketeer Influence and Corrupt Organizations Act, a U.S. federal law that targets organized crime and prohibits certain illegal activities. To provide a RICO violation, prosecutors must show that a person engaged in a pattern of racketeering activity, at least two predicate acts within 10-year period with an enterprise which can be legal or illegal. So they're saying it's a RICO act because basically bringing in brokerages and agents into the play, saying that these are other entities that are providing these, allowing these acts to basically play out. And with the updated lawsuit, they actually added some brokerages and actually some real estate agents inside the lawsuit. And this is what I thought was going to be sticky. When I first saw this lawsuit come out about Zillow home loans, and the way they worded the lawsuit, I had a feeling that it would possibly bring about adding brokerages into this and also agents into the mix that kind of heavily rely or pay a lot for this Zillow program. So and just what's happening is what I thought. David said, awesome. Yes, it was a great event. And Jaron right here, he went with me to the event. So it was a wonderful event. All right. So that's a little bit about what RICO is. If you guys don't know RICO, of course, if you want to get the full terms and underlining of what RICO means, that particular act, please Google it and it should come up. Excuse me, I apologize. And we're going to get right into this from Real Estate News. It basically says Zillow hit with expanded action class, adding RICO claims. So it says the law firm is behind the landmark Mueller commission lawsuit. So if you guys don't know, just within the last year, the National Association were in a lawsuit in regards to the commission structure and everything like that. And these particular lawyers who are also heavily focused on this act as well. And I think what they're trying to do, which is like, is good, but then it's also like we got to be careful how these lawyers are moving because again, they're trying to make money as well. It's great that they're kind of cracking down on things and making sure everything is more I don't want to say transparent, but more set in place as far as regulations, rules done correctly, right, in real estate industry, because we want to make sure that because we're in an industry that it's regulated, but it's not highly regulated, and that there always are people that fall through the cracks, that good people and bad people, and people that do their jobs the right way and people that do their jobs the wrong way, right? And so in the situation of these lawyers, it's great that they're, trying to put out the fires in the real estate industry, but we also got to be careful too because they're also at their best interest as well. Everybody has their best interest placed somewhere, right? And these lawyers, after they won this Mueller lawsuit in regards to the lawsuit, the commissions structures and the national associations, they have been pinning down and kind of going out there and trying to see where else they can kind of lay their hands at when it comes to real estate and kind of cracking down different things to actually get money for themselves, right? And this situation with the Zillow thing, I think this is a great thing to kind of focus on. Zillow is a wonderful platform, is a wonderful tool, right? It's a great platform in which consumers can go on there, they can look up the real estate, they can see what's happening in their area, they can see different homes that are selling, they can look at different specifications in regards to if their homes are comparable to XYZs as far as the sales, so they can kind of break down more things to understand like different community features, HOAs, whatever they want to find on there, right? They can get some data, some hefty data that most people wouldn't go to the back surfaces to look at the property taxes or the public records and all that stuff. They can get some of that from Zillow as they scroll down. So it's a great platform. However, just like it always happens that when people start certain things, they have a great intentions behind starting things, but then it goes off the railings because people become consumed with making money. And that's even in the sense of these lawyers with these lawsuits. Like they probably had great intentions to try to crack down on stuff, but now I feel like a lot of it is trying to find ways to get more money. However, like I said, this particular lawsuit is definitely something that I knew after looking into possibly doing Zillow flex programs and everything. When I read through they give you like a training course to go through, and when I went through the training course and I read stuff, I was like, oh yeah, this Zillow home loan thing right here, this is steering, and this is possibly going to lead to a lot of different things in the future. And here we are already. Um, 6 months later after I had kind of started looking into the Zillow stuff, and I'm like, wow, this is crazy. And it didn't even take a year or two, right? It said They have escalated their legal attack on Zillow, accusing the company of racketeering, fraudulent business practices, and coordinate scheme to inflate commissions and steer home buyers to Zillow home loans. It says an amended class action complaint in the case known as Taylor was filed on November 19th in Seattle federal court. So if you guys don't know, Zillow is based out of Washington, the state of Washington, in Seattle. It replaces the initial September filing, which focused on Zillow Flex referral program. That's what we were talking about earlier. The Zillow Flex referral program was in which they would take the 40% referral fees off the top of any closing. So if a realtor closed a deal through Zillow, getting the client, the lead per se through Zillow, they would then pay a 40% fee off the top, which most people probably didn't know that the agents, because everybody, so the thing about real estate agents, people don't realize, because we always talk about this, right, when we talk on live, that there is a perception that real estate agents make so much money, right? And there is a small percentage of agents who make a lot of money. So I'm not going to say it's not true. However, I think with the glitz and glamour of the social media, of the TV shows, of the Selling Sunsets, of the Beverly Hills, whatever, it creates this whole thing of people thinking that every agent is just riding like Lamborghinis and living in like these high affluent neighborhoods and rocking, Louis Vuitton and Versace and all this stuff. And the reality is not. Most agents typically, they said the average agent in the United States of America is actually a 55-year-old Caucasian woman. And actually the average agent makes about $40,000 to $50,000 a year. So most people, because of what they're showing, they probably think the average agent is making six figures or million, seven figures a year. And the truth is they're not. So anyway, I don't know how I went on that tangent, but y'all let me know. Jared said interesting. Yes, it's very interesting. Let me know your thoughts if you guys are watching live. And remember, don't forget to hit the like button. It says it expands the case significantly. It names 10 plaintiffs across 8 states and adds Zillow Home Loans plus 3 real estate brokerages and teams as defendants. Excuse me. The defendants that they name as far as real estate teams and brokerages are Oregon-based Works Industries, LLC. They name Nevada-based GK Properties and the Fernando team, which is based in Florida. So these are 3 teams that they brought inside to the lawsuit. And then they also, when I read through the lawsuit, and I'll read a little bit to you guys, they actually asked some agents that used to be a part of the Zillow program. And that's how they got that additional information and kind of was able to penetrate or get deeper into how Zillow are doing or going, I guess, going against the RESPA laws and the different type of things that were set in place to help consumers. It says attorneys from Hagens, Berman, and Cohen Milstein now allege that Zillow designed and operated a fraudulent enterprise that tricks buyers into working with Zillow affiliate agents, hides substantial referral fees, pushes agents to send business to Zillow home loans, and uses its market power to monetize every step of the home buying process, even if illegally. Real Estate News has reached out to Zillow for a comment. A closer look at the allegations, the amended complaint adds 2 RICO claims, arguing that Zillow and participating real estate brokerages constitute an enterprise that uses deceptive digital funnels, scripted sales tactics, and undisclosed fees to unlawfully keep commissions high and inflexible. So the whole thing of unlawfully keeping commissions high, again, we all know that commissions are negotiable. So I don't believe they keep them high. Of course, will some agents try to get more of a higher commission because they're getting more taken out of their checks, like that 40% off the top? Of course, they're gonna be like, at the end of the day, I worked very hard. I did a great job for this client, so I am going to try to get my, commission a little higher. And when it comes to that, I have my own type of um biases. I feel like if you work with a great agent, someone that's helping you through the whole process, someone that's answering all your questions as effectively as they can, someone that's going through leaps and bounds to help you out, somebody that might be showing you several thousand houses, someone that is there to make sure they contribute to the whole process and getting you through the transaction smoothly, but also, honestly, sorry, doing their fiduciary duty, I do agree that the person should be paid accordingly. Point blank. Just because you don't go into anything else asking for top tier services and pay bottom of the barrel money, right? However, I do feel like you have to learn how to put your biases aside where you're not doing great work, but then you also want the top pay. So this is where this kind of I go back and forth with. Um, hey, what's going on, Miss H? How you doing tonight? Thanks for joining us. We're having a great discussion about Zillow and this RICO situation. Let me know your thoughts. Um, as you can see, my other computer is on the fritz, so I'm on my iPad, so we don't have any moving screens or any, nice flashy backgrounds, but we are just having great conversations. So definitely join in. Let me know what you kind of think as we go through this. It says these claims rise the stakes by framing Zillow's alleged practices as coordinated effort rather than isolated violations. Specifically, the filing argues that prospective buyers who click contact agent or request a tour believe they are contacting a listing agent but are routed to the Zillow Flex agent instead. So this right here, this argument, when I was reading through this in the lawsuit, as far as that clicking the contact agent or the request the tour off of Zillow, if you go and you actually read their terms, or even when you click on that button, it does state that you are not being connected to the listing agent. So in this part of the lawsuit, I don't know how they will win here because it does clearly say it in the terms and use, and it also says that when you click that, it does say you're not being connected to the listing agent. But what they do, not every state does it, because I've noticed this, but if you scroll down into that listing and you look exactly underneath that listing, it'll actually lay out who the listing agent is, and sometimes you can see the listing agent's phone number there. So if you want to directly contact the listing agent, skip the request tour button, scroll down under the public remarks, and underneath of that you'll see the listing agent, and sometimes you'll see their phone number. Not every agent's phone number is there, but if you want to directly contact the listing agent, you can do it that way. Me as a realtor, would I want you to contact the listing agent? I would just say it depends, right? If you are okay with knowing that you will be a customer and not a client to that listing agent, and you're okay knowing that they don't hold your fiduciary duty, like they don't have a fiduciary duty to be transparent with you, honest with you about what's going on in the back end as far as the property being sold, then no problem. Contact that listing agent. But if you want agent to work with you on your better half, similar like if you were if you were going to court and you had a lawsuit, right? The defendant would have their own lawyer and the plaintiff would have his own lawyer. So you want to make sure you have your own representation. So if you want to make sure you have somebody that's standing on the side of you, then definitely have an agent on your side, instead of contacting that listing agent. What the MHOA said, I just get the feeling that this is another instance of RICO being used for something it was not intended to. That's my thing too, MHOA. I'm very confused in the sense of the RICO thing. I think what they're trying to do as far as RICO, they're targeting the whole thing of an enterprise, being that the agents and the brokerages were in cahoots with Zillow to kind of push people in the route of the Zillow home loans, and getting those kickbacks and those referral fees. So I can see it in the sense of that, but in the bigger scheme, I don't know if it would play out in the totality as far as that. But I guess we have to wait and see when they kind of go through the court system. I don't know if Zillow is going to try to settle out court, because I don't believe it has actually gotten to the court, to the judge part yet, as far as sitting down and having an actual trial. But it'll be very, very interesting in regards to this whole RICO situation. Um, it says the amended complaint comes just days after NAR, so we already know about that. It says new witnesses uh, of offer perspectives on the Zillow Flex program. Accounts from 12 confidential witnesses have also been added, explaining the mortgage steering allegations. And so this is where the problem is going to be that I've seen like I told you guys, when I looked into their program and I went through the training and I was looking at this part, I was like, I'm not doing that. I was like, I would never steer a client to one lender. Like what I do purposely, and I do this for all the clients, I say, hey, if you have somebody that you're comfortable working with prior to meeting me, working with me, if you know someone that has your best interest, whether it comes to you getting a loan from them, whether it comes to you as an inspection, whether it comes to whatever process in this transaction. Um, if you know someone that suits you better, can take care of you better, you feel more comfortable working with them, then use them. However, I have recommendations to people that I have worked with in the past, and I always try to give people at least one, at least like two. I'm gonna say, well, really, no, I end up giving people like 3 to 5. I give them a lot of recommendations. I know people are like, why are you giving these people so many recommendations? But I typically try to give people like at least 3 recommendations for like lenders and plus, right? Because everybody works differently. You have some lenders that are great at educating consumers. You have some lenders that are very rigid, and people's personalities are different. So you don't know what works for each person. Then you also want to be able to shop and compare. So I don't never try to push somebody to one area. And when I saw that through that Zillow thing, I was like, they want us to push them to the Zillow home loan team, and then they also will penalize you as an agent if you don't push them there. That was a no for me. Says Miss HQQ. You know, Clark, that's why when I look on Zillow, I never click on that listing agent on there. My nephew is looking to buy a home just now. I'm trying to give him info and advice. What else? Okay, so yeah, so also what I say about Zillow, if you guys probably already know this, everybody always goes and they look at the Zestimates when they're trying to sell a house, and then they also look at the monthly mortgage payments when they're trying to buy a house. Like they go to Zillow, they say, "Oh, it's saying that this house costs 300. Let's just say $300,000. My monthly mortgage is only going to be $1,900." And that's based off of you put 20% down. That's based off of a certain credit score. That's based off of certain debt to income ratios. It's so many overlays that is based off of. It's based off of the way in which they're pulling taxes that are not correctly being pulled. And this is an instance I had recently with a client that I'm working with, where the taxes on one property was listed at $5,400, and that data was incorrect. When I went into the backlog and to the to the tax assessment records, and I tried to find this particular homeowner's property taxes, unfortunately, they locked their property taxes. So I don't know where the 5,400 came from, because the property taxes was locked that no one can access it but the homeowner. So I had to actually call the tax assessment office, the commissioner, and they said that it's being blocked through the homeowner, that you have to talk to the homeowner, talk to the listing agent on the property. That homeowner grabbed their taxes. Their taxes was $1,600. Of course, it's different, right, with the taxes, because you have exemptions depending on where you live at. In the state of Georgia, you have homestead exemptions, you have veteran exemptions, like disabled exemptions, you have senior exemptions, you have school exemptions, right? And so this particular seller was 69 years old, so she classified for different exemptions, which brought her taxes down to 1,600. So what I did for the buyer is like, hey, the 5,400 is not going to be where your taxes lie, right? That data is incorrect. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull other properties around you, and we're going to base it off of an investor, right? So when we looked around all the properties around them, the properties that were investor owned, we saw that it was coming in about 4,600 a year for the taxes. Not 5,400, 4,600 a year for investors. People who are homeowner occupiers, they're using those exemptions, right? The homestead exemptions. If you're older in age, you're getting the senior exemptions, you're getting school exemptions. And so the taxes fluctuate and they vary according to the person and their age and their practices, if they're disabled veterans, different things like that. And so what we do generally, what I like to do is I like to pull the investors' taxes, right? Because when you pull the investors' taxes, this is based off of no exemptions at all. So we're able to make a fair thing. And then in the state of Georgia, you can only file exemptions between January 1st to April 30th. So if you don't file within that point, you don't get those exemptions. You have to wait until the following year to do it again. So I don't know if that helped a little bit, Miss H. Let me know. Let me see. MHOH said all the real estate sites still estimate my dump well over 300,000. Maybe it's time to dump this dump. Hey, you never know, right? Again, it's all based off of, like, what they're doing is they're taking data around them, comparing stuff. But we always say, as real estate agents, you have to get somebody to come and look at the house, right? We don't know if your house has holes in the floor. We don't know if your roof is sagging. We don't know all these other things, these conditions of your house. That can either inflate or deflate that price, right? So you definitely, outside of what the algorithm is, you need to know what it can possibly be. And let's real quick, while we're on this topic about the Zestimate, I pulled it up because you can actually go on Zillow and you can go scroll all the way to the bottom and you can actually click on Zestimate, and it tells you the accuracy. Sorry, am I saying it right? I always say you can actually scroll all the way to the bottom like I'm doing now on my phone. Scroll all the way to the bottom. I don't know if you guys can see it. And underneath of about, click on Zestimates. Click on Zestimates, and it tells you what a Zestimate is, and it tells you how accurate the Zestimate is. So it says the nationwide medium error rate for a Zestimate for on-market homes is about 1.83%. So there's an error of about 1.83%, while the estimate for off-market homes has a medium error rate of 7.0%. So there's a bigger medium error rate for off-market homes. The estimate accuracy depends on the availability of data in a home's area. So again, like we were saying earlier, the accurate amount of those taxes was inaccurate. Some areas have more detailed home information available, such as square footage, number of bedrooms and bathrooms, and others do not. So again, all this data is being aggregated and it's creating a number based off of the data, but everybody's house is different. Everybody's upkeep is different. So if you want to know more about the Zillow estimate, scroll down. So like in Atlanta, Georgia, it says the medium error is about 1.48% as far as it being the error. And then it goes on and on. I wish I had. It says the metropolitan area, the top metro area's medium error rate is 6.25% in Atlanta, Georgia. And I wish I was able to get on my computer so I could show you guys all this. But yeah, but you can go to Zillow.com, scroll all the way to the bottom, click on Zestimate, and it'll tell you how there is an error in the Zestimates. Miss H said something just don't feel right when clicking on anything on there. So I stay clear. Things have changed so much since I bought my home 30 years ago. Of course, so much higher. I try to let him know all the works in this market. I just don't want him to get into something he will regret. I agree, Miss H. You know, you want to try to do as much as you can and help people out, right? But at the end of the day, people do make their own decisions. You try to steer them as clear as you can, give them enough information as you can. Us as realtors do the same thing too, right? We try to give as much information we can, and then ultimately the person has to make their own informative decision. But you're doing a great thing. You're doing a wonderful thing, you know, educating him. But yeah, in regards to the Zillow stuff, I just tell people just be mindful about it. It's a great tool, don't get me wrong, as far as being able to see all the data. Like I stated earlier, it is a great tool to be able to see all that data and to have it in front of you and actually get to see inside the house without being physically there as far as the pictures, even though sometimes those pictures be lying, because I always tell clients, you might see a virtual 3D tour, you might see the pictures online, but please, 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 please go see the house in person. Some people decide to do it, some people don't. I always say see the house in person because one, you want to see the neighborhood you're in. You want to see what the neighbors are like. You want to see what the environment is like. You want to see the true nooks and crannies of the house in person, right? So I always tell people, even if I go and virtually do a tour for somebody, because I've done that a lot, where people will call me up in a different state, like, oh, I'm looking to move to the metropolitan area of Georgia. We see these houses. Is it possible to do a virtual tour? I'll go down there. We'll virtually tour everything, and I'll still tell the person, I know we had a great virtual tour, but I always suggest that you as a client always see your house in person, and you do what you want to do, right? Let me see. Maybe we as consumers can fight back, click on everything, get the emails, waste their time. You could definitely do that. You could definitely click and waste everybody's time. That HOA is so funny. David's laughing. Miss H said, what do off market mean? I see that but confused. So off market means basically the property is not currently listed for sale. So it's off market. So there is they'll have houses on Zillow where it'll just have random estimate cost of what the price of your house could possibly be, but it'll say off market. And so that's basically saying that this house is not available, it's not currently listed for sale. You cannot buy this house. It's off market. So that is what the off market means. It just means that it's not currently listed as active to sell on the market. Now Zillow do have the street view, helps me a lot when looking that way. I know how to get there. Yeah, Zillow has a street view. Zillow is basically becoming a hover, like a marketplace for everything. And that's what I was going to read through too. Let's finish this thing and then we'll kind of dive a little bit into backstory real quick of Zillow, and we'll also let you guys know a little bit of what they're kind of building out. They're kind of creating an ecosystem similar to what Redfin and Mr. Cooper and all of them are doing. Like they've all come together to create this ecosystem of capturing the customer and trying to keep them within one ecosystem. So they continue. They'll have your email, they'll have your phone number, and they'll continuously be able to keep sending you out emails, call you, text you random messages, and because they have all of your data, and then they're able to, even though some of these sites will say they don't sell your data, everyone's selling your data. I'm like, they sell my data. I get random robocalls every day. I get random text messages every day. They sell your data. All right. It says, among the claims, Zillow uses follow-up boss. So if you guys don't know what follow-up boss is, that's a CRM. Basically, the CRM is what we as agents use to put your information in. So we'll put your email address in there, we'll put your phone number in there, and it's like a system in which we lay out everything. Almost like you could say back in the day, it's like an Excel sheet, right? You put all the information in there and you lay out everything so that way you know to follow up with this person, to email this person. It creates, it's like a system in where we keep everything structured and laid out so we know who to contact, who to follow up with, who, like what type of information, like what properties they're looking for, what areas they're looking for. It allows us to, lay out structure. If that makes sense. As Zillow managers allegedly traveled to offices to personally deliver instructions they could not put in writing about quotas. So now they're saying that the Zillow team, they're going to these offices because they don't want to put this stuff in writing, because they don't want anything to be, if a lawsuit did happen to occur, which it is, they didn't want to be having any paper trails. So they were going personally to these brokerages or to these different offices per se, and giving information on how to go about utilizing and pushing people to Zillow Home Loans. It says flex agents who failed to meet quotas for referring buyers to Zillow Home Loan face losing leads or getting kicked out the program. So yeah, so that's another thing that we talked about earlier, as far as if you fail to stir people to the Zillow Home Loans, they would say basically you will not get any more leads, your conversion rate will go down, and they're not going to, and slowly but surely you'll get kicked out the program. Which is crazy, because if you guys don't know, our brokerages, even real estate teams, they pay thousands of dollars to get leads off of Zillow. They pay for the zip codes and they pay to get these leads in order to and we say this a lot of time before in these lives, that we as agents, we're literally giving our data inadvertently or indirectly through the IDX technology platforms to Zillow, to Redfin, to all these third-party websites to put the stuff on their platform so you as consumers can be able to access it and view the data and the information and the pictures and the videos and all that stuff, right? However, we then in turn, as brokerages, well, I haven't done it yet, but my brokerage does it. They pay for the leads. They pay for leads. So they pay for the zip codes, the area codes, or what I say, the area codes, zip codes, whatever. They pay for these leads to be able to in turn get consumers that are trying to purchase, or even possibly consumers that are trying to sell, in order to get them direct to contact them, their agents, their teams, or whatever at their brokerages. And so yeah, it's crazy, and it's thousands of dollars. Like I'm saying, people are paying $100,000 a month, $10,000 a month. It's not like $5 a month. It's thousands of dollars. That is one of the ways in which Zillow makes their money, is literally through real estate brokerages and agents. It says Zillow Home Loan cherry picks high quality buyers, offers higher interest rates than competitors, and provides inaccurate closing disclosures. So they're saying that they provide all these things. It says, let's go down. It says, echoes of another recent case. The newly amended complaint comes just weeks after a separate class action accused Zillow of using kickbacks, which we talked about earlier. And so let's get into, and I apologize, you guys, because again, I am using my phone because my other computer is not working, so we can't even see. So let's talk about real quick what steering is, because if you guys heard through this conversation, we were talking about steering. So steering is basically, when it says steering in real estate is an illegal and discriminatory practice of guiding a prospective home buyer or a renter toward or away from certain neighborhoods. So in this concept is about neighborhoods. However, steering can still refer to the agents or the brokerages, whatever, steering these homeowners to certain lenders in order to use them to purchase said property. So even though I broke it down in the sense of them steering you to certain neighborhoods to buy certain houses, and and there was a time too called redlining that occurred during the steering process when it came to people steering certain people to certain neighborhoods because of the color of their skin. This in this instance, we're using steering in the sense of the agents or the brokerages steering them towards the lenders. All right, so that's if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense as far as explaining that. And we just wanted to get a basic term or definition in regards to steering. Miss H said, "What and where do all this come from? Years ago, there was a booklet to pick up and look for homes that you wanted to see and call or go by the offices to talk with an agent about swinging a home, about seeing a home." Yeah, so that is what I was about to break down real quick in regards to how Zillow came about. So we'll do a quick little backstory about how Zillow came about. So in 2004, Zillow was founded. It was founded by Richard Barton, Spencer Raskoff, and Lloyd Fink. I think that's how you say his name. Barton, he previously had founded Expedia, and then Raskoff had founded, helped to found Hotwire.com. Sorry, and Frank was had been an executive at both Expedia and Microsoft. So the purpose of them creating Zillow was, let's read why they created Zillow. It says both two of the founders, they were both looking for homes. So it says Burton and Frank decided to take time away from their work to search for their next project. They were hunting for a new entrepreneurial venture, hoping to duplicate their previous success. So they were trying to duplicate their previous success in regards to Hotwire.com, Expedia, blah blah blah. It says at the time, both executives, they were actually searching for new homes. They were searching for a home to purchase. They became frustrated that they could not closely examine the features of the homes that they saw, and then they also struggled to find information on the homes that would be suitable for their families. So because of that, they created Zillow to be able to have this information available to the consumer in order to see the neighborhood, see the features, be able to see the homes. It says they began comparing their home shopping experience to their work at Expedia and believed a similar approach would be successful. They wondered if moving parts of the real estate market online and providing consumers with up-to-date market information at no cost would shift a significant amount of power away from the real estate agents. So they wanted to take power away from the real estate agents. They felt like the real estate agents had too much power when it came to the housing market, and they said we don't want them to have as much power. And they're continuously now, as they're growing their program, slowly but surely trying to create more separation from the real estate agent and actually put everything in their hands, and then turn to the consumer who is the home buyer or the home seller and say, you don't need an agent, you just need Zillow. However, I tell people, be very careful, because when everything lies within one structure, you become a monopoly, and a monopoly can play however they want to play. And so that's the purpose of always being to have individual sectors come together, because once you have a monopoly, you got to play by their rules. Look at what's going on in America right now. Look around different parts of the world. When you create monopolies, it's like that's not fair. I can't have it's not enough competitive prices. How can I say I want to use this person and create a how can I negotiate this? How can I do this if it's all monopolized and it's all one structure? It says, and into the hands of the consumers, they quickly became excited about the idea, began starting to plan. So blah blah blah. So they started it, all that. They launched the website actually in 2006. It went live. The website actually ended up crashing because they had a lot of people, a lot of consumers went on there and started looking at stuff. And then it says, as its popularity increased, Zillow continued to add new features to its service. In 2009, Zillow launched its mortgage marketplace. Then they also soon after in 2009 added the rental situation, so people could actually find rentals online. In 2011, the website allowed users to rate and review local real estate agents, allowing consumers to compare agents carefully. So they created a whole thing of being able to rate your agent. Zillow also bought two other companies. They own HotPads. They own Street Easy, which is in New York City. They also have their own mortgage services, which is Zillow Home Loans, which is based out of California. Zillow itself is based out of Seattle, Washington. They also grabbed numerous licenses as far as brokerage wise in different states that allow them to actually do business in these states. And this is where I'll be saying that the lawsuit is kind of murky as far as the end of the referral part end of it all, because as a realtor or a brokerage, you do have the opportunity to refer legally to another person in the business, refer business. So I think Zillow is kind of leaning on that referral part of like, oh, well, we're just referring business to agents. These people are coming to us as if, quote unquote, they're coming to our brokerage, and we're saying, hey, we don't work in this state. However, just like every other agent does, which we do, we refer, you will say, hey, I have a colleague in another state. I think I'll refer them to you. Of course, you always want to, go out and do your own interviews, your own due diligence, but check out one of the people that I referred you to. They might work for you, they might not. Hey. And so that's where I think Zillow, the lawyers in this lawsuit, at that part of the lawsuit, they're going to say, well, we're just referring business like any other brokerage does or any other realtor does. Um, that's how I'm looking at it, but I could be wrong. Um, in 2015, Zillow acquired online real estate marketplace. If you guys don't know, Zillow owns Trulia.com as well. So they acquired Trulia. And then also in 2017, they started testing like e-commerce features as well. And then it goes on and on and on. Basically, they are creating an ecosystem. And so that's a little bit about Zillow. I don't want to read the whole thing because then you guys are like, what the heck we going on? So let me tell you some of the things in which Zillow owns currently as well. If you guys don't know, real estate marketplace. So Zillow's real estate marketplace, they own again Zillow, Trulia, Street Easy, Hot Pads, Out East. These are entities in which they currently own online. Services and technologies that they own Showing Time. So if you guys don't know, most of consumers probably don't know what Showing Time is. That's a platform in which we as agents can go in and request a touring showing time for the clients we're working with. So if the client say, hey, I want to see the house at 4 p.m. today, we'll say, okay, no problem. We'll go inside our MLS. We'll click on Showing Time, and the agents will have it in there, a time available in which we can request, and we'll request the time. And that's how we make sure we schedule that viewing for you. So they own Showing Time. Follow Up Boss, which I told you guys is their CRM, which stands for Customer Relationship Management. So again, like I said, we lay out all the details. It's a software. Back in the day, people were using Excel sheets. Before then, they were using notepads, writing information down in regards to their client. They also own Dot Loop. So if you guys don't know, nowadays a lot of agents we have converted to Dot Loop, which is a system in which we have our contracts uploaded in. We put everything in Dot Loop. So basically, Zillow owns basically all the agents' data, which is crazy. But we have no choice working with our brokerage because our brokerage requires us to do this stuff. So it's again when you kind of get stuck in a sticky situation where it's like I don't want to do this, but I have to do this because if I don't do this, I can't be in business at all. They own MoreTech, which is a platform that provides mortgage-related services to lenders. And then they also own Spruce, which provides title and escrow services. So basically, they own through the whole transaction, through the whole ecosystem. The Zillow is in the mix. All right. So if you guys don't know, Zillow has all your data. Mr. H said, yes, we need an agent to help with all the papers and issues we do not or may not fully understand and get taken advantage of. Exactly. You need an agent. And a lot of people are feeding into this whole thing of like, AI taking over, AI this and AI this. Yes, technology is good to a certain extent, but at the end of the day, you still need a human to work said technology to press the buttons, right? And you still need, as humans, we still need to interact with other humans to make sure we are being represented correctly and fairly and not being taken advantage of, right? Because we don't know anything, right? And one thing that frustrates me about automated systems or automated processes is even if you guys, I don't know about you, but me, it frustrates me when I'm calling to try to get somebody at a local government office, or I'm trying to get in contact with somebody. It always takes me to an automated service line where it's like, oh, before you get to a person, we had to go through this and this. And I'm like, oh my God, just give me a person. Give me a physical person. I need to talk to a physical person on the phone. I have questions that I need answered. and hopefully they can effectively answer it, right? Because everybody cannot effectively answer the question. However, that's what I need. But all these automated services and systems and all this stuff is just a recipe for disaster for me. I don't know. Maybe I still working like I'm in the old times and I know I have to update in certain places, but I'm just like, oh Lord. All right, let's go on to this next part in regards to, like, if you guys go to Zillow terms of use, you're able to click on. I wanted to make sure I lay it out. Let me see for Zillow terms of use. I want to make sure I read the right part because we don't want to read the whole thing. Miss MHO8. Miss H said, AI do not work good with me. It doesn't understand what I want or asking. I have to keep saying I want a person to speak with. You sound like me, Miss H. I do the same thing. I'm like, I need a person. I'm like customer agent, customer service. I'm like customer agent. That's what I say. I'm like that. I'm like, I need to talk to a person. Like, I need to have direct contact. I need to have direct, um, conversation. All right, let's see. So we already talked about what the brands and what Zillow owns. Let's go down to number, I think it was 21. I just wanted to read this. This is in Zillow's terms of use real quick, and then we'll get into the lawsuit, and then we will, if you guys have any questions, let me know. If not, we'll end it at 8 o'clock on the dot. All right, so in Zillow terms of use, if you guys go on their website, clicks on their terms of use, it says certain third-party services, and this is where it breaks down. And let me see. In number 8, letter B, it says referrals and lead sales. As a part of the services, you may be connected with a real estate professional. You authorized to make such referral or lead sale and acknowledge that we may be paid valuable consideration for facilitating such connection. It says, as a part of the services, you may be connected to a party that provides mortgage loan origination services, title and escrow services, or other settlement services. It says if any of these parties have affiliated relationship with any of Zillow companies, then one or more of the Zillow companies may receive a financial or other benefit from referrals from referral between such affiliates. So it breaks it all down in their terms of use. So again, this is where it goes into that small detail. Um, let's talk about real quick because they're also in the lawsuit. They're suing in regards to the RESPA Act. So let me tell you guys what the RESPA Act is real quick. So RESPA, it stands for Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act. It's a federal law designed to protect consumers during the mortgage process by promoting transparency and preventing kickbacks and unearned fees. It says it requires lenders to provide timely disclosures of settlement costs like loan estimate and the CD, which we call it the CD is the closing disclosure, and prohibits illegal referrals and inflated costs. So within the RESPA Act, there has been put in place that as a lender, as a loan originator or provider, they have to give you your settlement statement within a certain period of time. Typically, it's about 3 days before closing. They have to provide you with this information, which is your CD, which is your closing disclosure, and then your settlement statement. And it breaks down all the fees. It breaks down who's paying what, where the money's going, and all these things. So you can then be able to look at that. And if anything looks weird, you can then reach out to the lender, to those providers, and say, hey, this doesn't make sense. This is too much. It's this, and you can be able to change and shift things around. And they have to update that prior to the closing. So they're basically, one of their things in the lawsuit is the RESPA. It says promote transparency, ensure borrowers receive clear and timely information. More of it is really based around the kickbacks in the so we're going to go to the kickback part because that's more what they're kind of referring to. It says prohibition of kickbacks and unearned fees. Sorry, it says it is illegal for service providers to pay or receive fees for referrals if the service is not actually performed. So basically, they're saying that, from what I'm interpreting, I guess they're saying like Zillow is not performing, or nowhere in this transaction are they performing anything. So why are they getting a kickback or a fee? But again, I said it could be a thin line as far as how they go about it, because again, they could say, well, we have a brokerage license in these states and we are just giving a referral fee. So I don't know, it kind of tethers a lot of lines. So let's read a little bit of the lawsuit real quick. It says Zillow surveyed this landscape and only saw pots of gold. It says Zillow's practices and policies in the real estate industry are not simply indifferent to agents' duties to protect their clients' interests. Zillow actively schemes to subvert them. Zillow goal is simple: to monetize every step of the home buying process. And so that's why we went through everything we went through earlier to end up here, so we could finish off with this actual drawn out lawsuit. Jaren said, I can't stand automated either. Yes, I automated. It just works my bubbles. I'm like my bubbles. I don't know. It says Zillow's goal is simple: to monetize every step of the home buying process, even if illegally. It says, and to encourage, incentivize, and ultimately coerce agents into violating their fiduciary duties by disregarding their clients' interests. It says the very success of Zillow's scheme depends on the agent's willingness to place Zillow's interests above their client's interests. Zillow promotes itself as transforming the way people buy, sell, and rent and finance homes, but this transformation comes at a steep cost for home buyers, it states. They then go on to say, okay, we're not gonna read that part. We're gonna go down to the next part real quick. Miss H said, "Did you get to see that paper way before you close or went along the finance?" So you'll see that paper, typically that closing disclosure and that settlement statement, you'll see it 3 days prior to closing. I always tell buyers what they should do is when they find a house, reach out to your lender, whoever you're working with, and ask for a good faith estimate on how much it could possibly be, your monthly mortgage, and what other fees are in that. So like the taxes, the insurance, title fees, all these other fees, the lender's fees, the lawyer fees. If you have a if your state requires you to go through a closing attorney, certain states require closing attorneys, certain states are just title companies. So your lender can actually provide you a good faith estimate. Technically or legally, they don't have to provide that until you go under contract. So you could go under contract and then you can ask for one. But I always tell my clients that if you're working with a good lender, they will provide it to you up front before you even go under contract. So send them the address of a house that you're very interested in. Ask them, can they give you a good faith estimate? And that estimate will show you what those fees could kind of look like up front. And even though those fees can change, they will change possibly on the back end when you close, because by that time they'll actually get real concise with the fees, because by that time you might change, your home insurance company might change, the closing attorney might change, the title company might change, so those fees might change. But definitely you can ask for a good faith estimate up front and see what the numbers kind of look like. So hopefully that makes sense, Miss H, and that'll help your nephew. Okay, so it says, let's get into these last parts. Hopefully I'm not boring everybody, because I know this is a lot of reading, and typically, like I said, I would have my computer up on the screen, but the computer is acting crazy, so we're on this iPad, and we'll probably be here for the next week too, and then we'll head back to the main computer once I get back home. It says number 8. It says as the buying process continues, Zillow has found another scheme to exert value. Sorry, not to exert. To extract. Sorry, to extract value at the customer's expense. Zillow compels Zillow Flex agents to steer home buyers to use Zillow Home Loans. Even though Zillow and the agents know Zillow Home Loans offers less loan packages compared to competitors, its loans come with undisclosed and hidden fees, its higher interest rates, and it does not offer common assistance packages available to first-time home buyers who comprise almost half of all buyers. It says if agents do not comply and fail to meet Zillow's steering quotas, the agents are dropped from Zillow's Flex program, regardless of the agent's performance or the client's satisfaction. This steering policy has driven Zillow Home Loans originations growth to nearly $1 billion last year, 90% year-over-year increase. Former Zillow Flex agents have reported that they are terminated from the program precisely because they made loan account recommendations that served their clients' interests rather than steering them to Zillow Home Loans. So when the agents steer them to another lender, that makes more sense for that agent and make sure they get better rates, better deals, Zillow is like, no, because when you with Zillow, you have to actually put every Zillow lead you get into their CRM system, which is the follow up boss. Once you put into follow up boss, they are monitoring every type of situation you have in regards to any of those clients that came through Zillow. So they know if you don't send them to Zillow Home Loans, because they're like, you got this client from Zillow, it's in follow up boss, because they automatically place them in there, and they're like, no, you sent them to a lender that's not us. How dare you? Smack on the hand, pat, pat. Bad Sally. It's supposed to only go to us. And then they're like, you keep doing this, we're done with you. So that's what Zillow is doing. It says Zillow scheme and the fraudulent enterprises it uses to effectuate. I mean, sorry, effectuate that scheme have been confirmed by current and former Zillow Flex agents. So, like I said, other agents have confirmed that this is what happens, as set forth below. Confidential witnesses consisting of numerous current and former agents detail facts surrounding the scheme that Zillow has implemented to capture the real estate market to the harm of home buyers. Commentators online have also described the worry about Zillow's practices. Collectively, uh, Collectively, they assert that Zillow is illegally forcing agents to refer customers to Zillow Home Loans in violation of their fiduciary duties as agents and in violation of the Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act, which is RESPA, which we talked about earlier, as detailed below. So, like everything we talked about earlier, you guys, is all hopefully it made sense. It all kind of combines into this lawsuit laid out. So I know it's a lot of reading, a lot of talking, a lot of explanation of things, and it might have seemed like it's all over the place. But I purposely did it so we can get to the nitty gritty, which is what this lawsuit is talking about, and you can understand what the acts mean, what things are happening. You can get more understanding of the whole picture. It says 12 confidential witnesses, agents, and loan officers provide details that expose such just how deliberate and destructive Zillow's policies are, including to avoid putting anything in writing. So Zillow don't want to always put things in writing. Loan officers frequently misrepresent or omit important details about the borrower's true costs at closing, which leads to buyers either paying excessive cost or losing their house. Based on the hidden Zillow fees, Zillow Flex agents are incentivized to burn and I don't know, through clients at the expense of their clients' interest. So basically saying they don't care about the clients. It's just to get them in, get them out, buy the house, keep moving. Many Zillow Flex agents know virtually nothing about the real estate process, which is true. It says the Zillow hidden fees drive up commissions as well. Like we talked earlier, some agents could be incentivized to want to get a higher commission because you're getting so much taken off the top that once you do all the work, you might, a commission check that might be, let's say, $10,000. As you as an agent, you go through all these programs, you only get $2,000 because you have not only Zillow 40% off the top, you have your brokerage taking a percentage out. Like at my brokerage, my brokerage takes 40% out. We have a franchise fee of 6%. We have FMLS fee that's 0.0012%. So I did a whole video that breaks down how much I could possibly see as a commission through my brokerage currently when I help a person buy a house. It's on the YouTube channel. Go check it out. I think it's called like agent fees and all that stuff. And you can literally see the breakdown of how much an agent possibly could make, and then base it off of how long you work with the client. I can see why some of this could happen. Miss H said, of course this happens again. My thing flipped over. It's gonna turn back over. All right, let's do this real quick. Sorry about that, y'all. It always does this when I'm on this daggone iPad, flipping over and stuff. Miss H said, QQQ, is that part of why Zillow is being sued? Yes, Zillow. Yes, this is a part. So this is actually in. Now what I'm doing now is I got straight to the lawsuit that was actually put in place, and these are some of the reasons in which Zillow are they're being sued. Yeah, this is the purpose of this lawsuit, and combining it with the racketeer RICO allegations. As far as that, and inside these RICO allegations, they are including the brokerages and the different teams that were a part of facilitating these deals in tandem with Zillow. Why would any agent want to work with Zillow with the way they do things? I would run. Yeah, and that's the thing. The problem is that most agents really don't want to work with Zillow. However, Zillow has acquired so much of our data through our associations, our MLS, so the MLS through the associations that they put in place. There's kickbacks being thrown everywhere. Brokerages, teams, MLSs, everybody's getting a kickback somewhere. So because of that, unfortunately, people don't have a choice. Even when we sign our listing agreements nowadays, it states that the through the IDX technology that it will be placed on Zillow, on all these platforms. So it's like it's no choice really. So it's how do we break free? How do we create an environment again in which we as real estate agents hold the power to get back to the place where we can do our full fiduciary duty to be very transparent through the whole process. And so that's why I having these discussions on this YouTube channel talking about this stuff. It's not to spite companies or spite people or situations, but it's to give a full transparent view of what this real estate industry looks like. When I got into the real estate industry and I started uncovering all these things, I was like, oh my God, like if people only knew this information. But I felt like with me saying so much, people are always like, oh, here he goes again, always wants to kind of break down the industry. And I don't want to break down the industry. I feel like every industry I get into, when you get into any industry, you see the flaws in it, right? Every industry has flaws. And it's not about breaking down the industry, but it's like, how do we bring awareness to this information so people do not get screwed, right? And so, yeah, so everybody, when they see me get into something, they're like, oh, here he come again. This one always want to be stand on the soapbox and talk about something. But I'm like, I'm really just here trying to help people out. But everybody looks at it like I'm trying to do harm. But yeah, so that's basically the gist of the lawsuit. I don't want to go too long. Again, I don't have the physical equipment to be able to show you guys the lawsuit on screen, which I really that would have been even better. But I appreciate everybody being here tonight. I appreciate you taking your Sunday out. I know that football is in session. So many things are happening right now. So just for you being on this live, I appreciate your time. I hope to see you guys back next Sunday. If you have any questions or need any more information about what we talked about tonight, or if you have um, anything real estate wise, you can always reach out to me. I'll put my email on the screen, and then it's also below. It'll be below in the comments once I update this section. But I don't know where my you can reach out to me. My phone number is there if you want to give me a call. My email is there as well if you want to reach out via email if you don't want to call me. And that way, if you have any questions, if you're looking for any type of referrals, down, anybody looking in Georgia, the metropolitan area of Atlanta. If you're going further south in Georgia, further north, I can't help you. I have some agents that reach out to me like, "Oh, Clark, can you help this person live in this, this particular area?" And I'll let you know real quick, no, because I wouldn't do a great service for you. It would be a disservice because I don't live in that area. I don't have access to the MLS in that area, so I'm not going to take on that. So I apologize for anybody. You're welcome, Miss H. Have a wonderful night. And again, you guys enjoy your Sunday, and I will see you guys next Sunday. Take care. Bye bye.